Good morning, everyone. Kris here with Inspired Energy, and joining me again this morning, Hartwell. Good morning, Hartwell.
Good morning, Kris. Good morning, everyone.
So, you've chosen a bit of a different topic this morning, and you kind of tagged it Mutual Admiration Society. So, can you tell us what you mean by that and how it applies and how does it relate to human design?
Yeah, for those who have watched us or listened to us, you know I have a very strong philosophical bent. And so this is part, I think, of the value of these systems is interweaving them with other things that you know. And mutual admiration means appreciating the characteristics of other people. I came across a quotation not long ago that said that if you want a loving relationship, enter into one where you mutually admire each other. The basis for love is mutual admiration, I think, was the quotation. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the source, but um, I thought that was worth talking about.
Mm-hmm. So, how does it relate to human design?
Well, I think that ideally human design, when we learn to appreciate ourselves for our own uniqueness, it follows from that directly that we embrace and appreciate other people for their uniqueness. So, human design is perfect for cultivating that because it cultivates that awareness of uniqueness.
Mm-hmm. So, is there someone that has influenced you to think along these lines, or like how did
Well,
you get into this?
yeah, at one point I went through an interesting phase where I found this. He had his own little semi cult following in the art world of New York. And his name is Eli Siegel, and he came up with this fancy philosophy he called the aesthetic realism. And I think he had some important insights. One of the things that he saw he was like an artist slash therapist slash philosopher. And he said that what he noticed in the minds, in the consciousness of people who were unhealthy, who were neurotic, um, they had a way of looking at the world where they always saw themselves as somehow being up and the other person being down. So anytime we choose to kind of look at like out of the world and say, "Oh, I'm better than them," it gives us a little experience of pleasure because we feel superior to the other person. So he said there's two kinds of pleasure. There's a pleasure where we get the pleasure that we derive from. There's the pleasure that we derive from feeling better than other people, superior to other people. And then there is the second kind of pleasure. He called it pleasure A and pleasure B. I'm not sure which was which. But the other form of pleasure was uh, by looking out at the world and appreciating everything for all the differences. So it's like, oh, isn't that cool that that tree is so tall and skinny? And oh, isn't that cool that that tree is kind of broad and full and shorter? And isn't it cool that some people have blonde hair and some people have brown hair? But the willingness to appreciate the world as it is for all of its complexity leads to mental health. And I've experimented with it, and it is true. And so I was thinking about that when I was prepping. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. So, in other words, um, the energy that leads us to envy other people or feel superior to other people leads towards reduced health mentally and in every other way. And when we look out at the world and see things as different and complementary, but not superior or inferior, then that leads to mental health. So I thought this could lead us into a quick discussion of just reviewing all the things that human design says, and calling out and sort of going on, what Carolyn May, the Abraham Hicks people would call a rampage of appreciation.
So how does it relate to human design?
Well, it relates to human design because human design offers us a window into all the things that are that are so um, that are so different. So let's just look at this for a minute. Let's
Well,
take type.
instead of different, why don't we use unique?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same word. Same. Um, it's like we have the four types.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, isn't that cool that generators are able to build things and they have abundant energy and they magnetize things to them in life? Isn't that the coolest thing? They are productive, they are creative, they are warm, they are powerful. That's amazing. And look at the projectors. They're perceptive, and they help you make things efficient, and they see the world in a different way, and they're very aware of the energy of the world, and they can be good leaders and advisors. And it's like, having an advisor friend, it's like, oh, it's the best. It's because they can help you see things differently, and sometimes see what you don't see. And the manifestors, they're the coolest. It's they are wild. They impact the world through what they do. um they get the things started. um and they are they're independent. And then we have the rare reflectors who see the world in such a different way, and they bring surprise to the world. They bring that element of wonder, and they can help people understand in a group or an environment, what is needed for harmony. So it's like, it's magical, and we need all these different types because they all have their own specific way of being that adds to the fabric of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an example. It's like, just because I'm a projector doesn't mean it's like, oh my God, you're so cool. And every time I do a human design reading, that's part of what happens for me, is that I get excited about the uniqueness of the individuals in front of me and the ways in which they're
Mm-hmm.
different from me. What have you discovered that you admire or like, in terms of the variety that you see, Kris? You want to play the game with me?
You're asking me what I admire in people's uniqueness. I mean, when you look at people's just basic personalities and their designs, there is such a uniqueness as to how they move through the world. Um,
Hmm.
and what I notice is that everybody gets what you call chart envy. So there's like, oh, that's so beautiful. I wish I had that. That's what that's what I notice, is that a lot of people want what other people have, um, because they do see the uniqueness, but they tend to go, oh, that's cooler than what I have. Um, and that's probably speaking to that, seeing yourself as separate or individual rather than how you work together.
Right. And
Mhm.
that's what we're kind of working. We're working in the other direction today. We're working to say, it's like, rather than envying something, it's like, I get to live in a world with this coolness, and they
Mhm.
get to live in the world with my coolness. So, for instance, if we look at the profiles, we've got the 1-3 profile, which is your profile, which is very grounded, very down to earth, learns through experience, investigates, is has a good bullshit detector. The 1-3 is amazing. And the 3-5, they're the ones that are like they test everything out in the world. They figure out what's wrong. They figure out what doesn't work, and then they teach the rest of us. And the
Mhm.
2-4s, they like to do their own thing, and they're really talented, and then they get appreciated for a talent, and then they give it to the world. And the 4-6s who are great at networking, and it's so important for them to be part of a fabric of a community and give in that way. And
Mhm.
then we have the 5-1s who are the teachers and the fixers, and the ones that we somehow expect to save us or lead us or heal us. And in some ways they can, and they have a broad influence. And we have the 6-2s who are the role model hermits, the ones that
Mhm.
see the big picture, see the things that other people don't see, and have the vision to lead us into a future that could be better.
Mhm.
So it's like we need all of these types in the world, and they're all. Um, I mean, our happiness really, our potential happiness, is something that we can only ever integrate if we fall in love with our own uniqueness and celebrate our own unique gifts. What's the thing that you like best about your chart, Kris? About yourself and your uniqueness in
Right,
a
right,
human
right, right.
in human design terms? Yeah, tell us about that.
Well, just like, I don't know, that was just such a big epiphany for me.
Yeah,
Understanding that, um, well, understanding many things on this level. So being quad right and understanding that I'm taking in all the information, that I'm this well of information and I only pull it out when I need it, instead of trying to operate like somebody who, is very logical and has everything together and organized and color coded and, you know,
yeah,
however that works. Whereas I'm just all over the place, because I just operate that way. So then that was more like, okay, like let's settle into this. How does this work? Um, you know, it tends to make you, um, kind of, when you don't understand it, like your confidence and stuff is undermined because you think, oh,
yeah,
I'm not as smart as that, person who studies books and, has everything organized and those kinds of things. Um,
your
so that,
intelligence works differently.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And to understand that is like really, um, to me, amazing, because it then allows you to then relate to people differently. Um, yeah, like your relationships change and
Yeah,
understanding, yeah, all of those kinds of things. Um, I don't know. I think the other big thing for me was understanding the incarnation cross, and a lot of, never used to understand why I would get so angry when, like, it would be like 0 to 1,000 when people
mm,
weren't in integrity, um, like, or doing things that were dishonest or whatever. Like, it was just like instant, anger. Like, I could feel it in my body.
right.
Um, so, I mean, understanding that I'm designed to like call that out, like when people aren't in integrity, like it's like you're not, you're not being truthful or you're not in alignment. Um, that that helps you as well, right?
Right.
Mhm.
And I mean, your undefined throat is, remember, every undefined center can be a clear mirror for the world. So an undefined throat knows, okay, I get a sense of who's being authentic in their communication and who isn't. And your
Yeah.
undefined G is like saying, who has a useful or good connection to their higher self, their sense of direction.
Hmm.
So part of it is arising from that too. And
Yeah.
that is a cool factor in
Hmm.
your life.
Yeah.
It's like, look at this person, this Kris person, this, the all right variable is about being able to absorb information in a peripheral, broad based, and very very deep way
Hmm.
that doesn't always, that is a different way of being.
Hmm.
And it's like, look at that quality exists in the world. And
Yeah, it's like being able
um,
to see like that big picture versus like the little, yeah, the little ones can get you in
mhm,
trouble when you're processing information, though.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And what about
So,
you?
well, I was just thinking maybe the better. What do I like most? Like about me?
Your
What do
design,
I like? Huh?
your human design, not
Well, yeah,
like,
that's what we're
yeah.
talking about. Um, what do I like about me? Um, I like. You put me on the spot.
I
What
know.
do I?
How's it feel?
Well, yeah. I mean, what I really like, is my son is in gate one, which is called the gate of self-expression, and it relates to beauty. And one of the things I love about myself is I'm a real appreciator of beauty in the world. I love art. I love music. I love the beauty of nature. I love that flash of uniqueness, the freshness that sort of occurs when some sort of flash of creative genius appears in the world. It's a kind of a freshness, and that's related to gate one. And I really love being somebody who is sensitive to all of that. It's one of the things I like most about myself. Um, and I like, I have a lot of the first line. I have 10 or 11 first lines, which is the line of the investigation. And I'm always investigating things. I mean, the downside of it is insecurity, because insecurity in some ways drives that process, but it leads to thorough understanding of things that then you can have an authority about. So the
Mhm.
insecurity ends up being somebody who investigates enough in order to feel secure and knowledgeable and have authority about it. And so I have a love hate relationship with that, but I love the investigation. So
Mhm.
I also love that about myself. So
Mhm.
I encourage everyone
Mhm.
who is listening to know yourself through human design. Come to me for a reading, go to somebody else for a reading, and revel in your own uniqueness. And when you see uniqueness in others that you admire, simply admire it without envying it, and come
Mhm.
and learn about yourself and know yourself, until you have that sense of, you're a kid and you meet somebody new on the playground and you just really like this person. They're so cool. This is how I want everybody to feel about themselves. I want you to feel like, oh my God, I'm so cool.
Mhm.
That's what I want. Do you have
like
any
like our
comments
friend
about that?
McCool.
Yeah, yeah,
That's an inside joke. Yeah.
indeed.
Um,
Yeah.
so anything else that you want to say as we wrap
Well, I
up
mean, I like to invite
here?
people to investigate human design. It's like I've been teasing this for a while, and I haven't made it happen yet. But we're going to have a group where we get together and we chat about human design. It's not going to be a specific teaching group, but we'll learn a lot. We'll learn a lot from our own perceptions of each other, our perception. Um, from a human design perspective, we'll look out at the world and say, what have you learned about the defined or undefined solar plexus, the emotional reality of life? And we'll share our experiences and we'll learn a lot from each other. And there will be teaching tidbits, and we'll focus on various things. But that's what we're going to do. Where is Kris gone? And I also have a human design course in the basics that people can subscribe to if you have that desire as well. I'm not sure where our Kris is gone or whether she's come back, but it does seem to be still live here. So what else is coming forward here? I'm just checking in on Kris if anybody is watching. It says it's still running. Yeah, so I'm in the show. I don't know if it's still running or not. What else can I tell you? It's really useful, even if you've had a human design reading, to come back again and have a chat with me about your questions to contextualize some of the insights that you've been having about yourself. Okay, I think I'm going to leave, and hopefully this is all going to work for us.